Howdy everyone, I'm April and you're watching the Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is episode number 19. It's been a busy month. I think I mentioned last time that I was house hunting and I did find some place, so it looks like the next several weeks are going to be filled with me packing and going through things and seeing what I want to keep, what I don't want to keep. Moving house is always such a stressful time, so who knows what I'm going to find in all my closets and in hidden nooks and crannies, so maybe yarn. That would be fun. So I did get something done. I finally finished. You might have seen them on Instagram. My son's socks. Finally. Yay! I got them both done. This was the yarn that I got from the yarn therapist on Etsy, and it was one cake, 100-gram cake, and then I wound it into two smaller cakes, and right in the middle of it was a knot where they told you right where the center of that skein is, so that you can end up with two identical balls. And they lined up almost perfect. I mean, so perfect that I'm so happy. They came out so exact. And then on the end I have the Pandia's Jewels yarn in the mermaid colorway for the toes and the heels, and this was the sunset colorway from the yarn therapist, and they're long. They go, I had to do a little bit of increasing up here in the calf, just so that they would stretch just enough over his calf, and then I decreased a slight bit, not quite as much as was down here. All of this was done on 64 stitches around, and up here I increased gradually up to 76, and then just before the cuff I decreased back down to 72. And he's tried them on. They fit perfect. They're all done. And I did these on 9-inch circulars, except for the toe. The toe I did on DPNs, and I did the Judy's Magic cast on. And then this is a Flegel heel. But even through the heel, I did that all on the 9-inch circular. So it was perfect. It was so... the reason why these took so long, even though they are huge socks, they were zipping along rather quickly. But the first time I did it, I think I mentioned I did an afterthought heel, and that didn't work out. So I had to rip out a whole entire sock, and then I knit the socks again with the Flegel heel, and then I did two different leg increases for the calf, and I had him try on both of them to see which one fit better, and we went with the one, and then so I pulled down the other sock just to about here and then reknit it again. So it was a lot of trial and error with these socks because they're so long. But I had so much fun watching the colors emerge, and they came out so cool, and he's super excited about it. So these are for my son, and yay, I finally got them done. I didn't get them done in time to enter into the Grocery Girls April sock bash, which is kind of a bummer, but that's okay. I still got them done, and these were my April pick for the Brown Bagging It Sock Club. So that was that. Yay, I got them all done. They're so pretty. I wish that they were for me. I wish that I could just keep these for myself, but because I wanted to keep the entire colorway, colored changes intact, I didn't want to have to cut it off short because my legs are shorter. I decided to make them for my son because his legs are longer and skinnier, and so he's got those. Very excited. I don't know. I wish they were mine. They're so pretty, but that's okay. That's okay. He's worth it. He loves wearing my knitted socks. And speaking of knitted socks, some more, the Brown Bagging It Sock Club for May. I did choose my colors, and these socks are going to go to my daughter Santana. I think the month before, no, I'm lying, the month before that, those socks went to my son Daniel, and then I had a pair of socks for myself. These ones are going to my son Joshua. These ones are going to go to my daughter Santana. And so for May, what I picked was, again, a long color repeat yarn. This colorway is called Bryn, and it's a 3 Irish girls yarn. It's 3 Irish girls on their old Adorn base. And the Bryn colorway was actually a wildly variegated yarn with all of these colors in it. But right around September, I believe it was, I think I wrote it down, September of 2015, 3 Irish girls had done a special called Where's the Big Deal? And what they were doing that particular month was getting some of their wildly variegated yarns and breaking them down into long color run balls. And it was a 100 gram skein, and I broke that down again the way that I did with the other one for Joshua socks. I broke it down into 2 50-gram balls so that I can have 2 identical socks. So I've started those, and I love these colors, starting off with these blues. And actually I think the center started off with so a little bit of the brown in the middle as well. And then I just barely started them. So you can see I'm just starting to fade up into the teal, and then the teal will eventually become this really bright teal right here, and just fade out into these colors. And I'm so excited. Now she's got the same foot that I do, so I don't know that I'm actually going to get into these last bits of brown. Maybe not even all of that purple at the end, but I think there'll be some of the purple. And I am doing these cuff down, and I want to do an afterthought heel. And I've chosen to do, since these are long color repeats, I decided to do the Mad Mix socks. Those are by somebody that I forgot to look up their name. So I will put that in, make sure to put that into when I edit it. But they're Mad Mix socks, and what they are is you use different colors for different patterns along the leg and the foot. And so every time my yarn starts changing a color, I'm gonna change to one of the patterns. There's lace and different textured patterns. I think it's gonna be really fun. But they are top down, and I chose to do these on, I believe these are a 2.5 or a 2.75 millimeter. I can't remember, but I know that I only had the one 9-inch circular needle that I did for Joshua's socks, and I'm not using that one because this yarn is just a little bit heavier than that other yarn, so I wanted to go up a needle size, and I only had the one 9-inch circular in that size. So I'm using DPNs, which I adore DPNs. I really can't seem to get into doing magic loop or using the 2 circulars, although I did just watch a Very Pink Knits YouTube video. I adore Stacy from Very Pink Knits, and I listened to her radio podcast. I love her. She's just so informative, and she's funny, and I just love her. But anyway, she did a video with the Addy Flex Flips, which are the really short, they look kind of like they're supposed to be DPNs, but they've got the little super short cord in the middle, and there's 3 in a package, so that you can work it around. It's almost like working with 2 circular needles, and then there's the 3rd one to go around with. And the only difference is that the cord is super short. It's not like using, you know, a 12-inch or 16-inch to 16-inch circulars flopping around all over the place. You've got them, they're a little bit shorter, but they do bend. So that was kind of cool. I was thinking of maybe getting those at some point, but for the most part, I don't like using the 2 circulars, or mostly because they flop around. I am willing to try the Addy Flex Flips just to see how they work, but for the most part I'm a DPN girl. So that's what I'm doing, top down. Super excited about that. So I will put in the name of the designer for these Mad Mix socks, and you can go take a look at them if you like. So I'm starting those for my May Brown Bagging It Sock Club. I will not be even trying to enter these into the Grocery Girls theme. I think I can still do it for socks in general if I get them done in time. But they have a theme this month of knitting socks from a sock blank. And I don't have sock blanks, and I just have spent quite a bit lately on some yarn, so I just didn't have a justification to buy a sock blank, even though they're super cool. I've seen some really, really, really pretty ones. And then I've been watching Rebecca from Chemnitz here also on YouTube, and she was dyeing her own sock blanks that she even knit herself on one of the plastic knitting machines. And she's also dyed commercial made sock blanks. So that was really interesting too, but I just didn't have the justification to do that right now, and I didn't have the time to wind my own sock blank. So that's okay. I'm cool with using that, and I really wanted to make Santana another pair of socks. So yay, super excited. That's my socks for right now. Something else exciting. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a dry throat, so I'm going to drink some of my tea. Hold on. That's good. This is the green tea with lavender and holy basil that I showed a while back. It was Serenity tea. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But the allergies are kind of kicking in again, and my throat is a little tickly, so excuse me. So the other thing that happened this month was the next installation for the Where We Knit 2018 Indie Untangled sock subscription came in. I was so excited for this one because the designer is CC Allman, and she was paired with Julia from Pandia's Jewels, and you know I love Pandia's Jewels yarn, and so that's who was paired up this month for the next installation. And I'm so in love with the yarn and the pattern. And so this is, she actually, CC Allman actually made two patterns to go with the yarn. She did a cowl and a pair of socks, and they're called Brackets Landing is the name of the patterns. And so on this card that came with in the package, says that you're going to get an email, which I did, so you can go ahead and download the pattern, and you can also import it into your Ravelry account. So I've got both of those, and now I just got to decide, do I want a cowl or a pair of socks with the yarn? And the yarn is also called Brackets Landing, and it's on Pandia's Jewels Snug Base. And, oh my gosh, it's such a pretty blue. This little bit of teal right in here in the middle of all of these more traditional blues just kills me. And then the greens and oranges and golds. Oh, I love it. So again, this is the Brackets Landing. I'm digging it. I can't decide. Both of these patterns are super cool, and they were both knit up in the colorway, so you can see the textured designs really stand out and hold up against all of the speckling and coloring of the yarn. So I'm super excited. And I got some little goodies with my subscription. Super excited. So it says the theme for this particular installment was called Puget Sound, and it says Julia of Pandia's Jewels lives in New York's Hudson Valley, and took the inspiration for her colorway from Brackets Landing, which is a park on Puget Sound in designer CC Allman's city of Edmonds, Washington location. So again, this is the Where We Knit subscription. So, you know, she took inspiration from a place where she lives to dye these yarns, and so did CC Allman in her designs to be used with those yarns. So it's really cool. And then it says, so what goes with knitting on the beach? A nice cold drink. My Yarnold Palmer enamel pin. So adorable. Yarnold Palmer instead of Arnold Palmer. I can't say it. Yarnold Palmer. Jeez Louise. They sent an enamel pin that looks like an Arnold Palmer iced tea lemonade, but it's two cakes of yarn inside the cup. Super adorable. I love it. And then they also sent a sticker with the same thing. When I first saw it, I didn't know what it was meant to be, and I thought it was a pineapple. But when I looked closer, I'm like, that's 2 cakes of yarn. That is so adorable. And yeah, I love the name. It says, my Yarnold Palmer enamel pin made by Shelly Can. I don't know, it doesn't say anything much more about who Shelly Can is or how to find her. I'll Google it and see if I can find a link to her, if she's got any other cool pins. But that was super cute. So I've got a pin, a sticker, yarn, and 2 patterns this month for the Where We Knit Indie Untangled subscription, and I was so super excited. So I've got that. And you know, the one that I got in February, which was the Hue Loco yarn, and that pattern, I have decided that I don't want to make that particular pattern with that particular yarn. The yarn that I got from Hue Loco actually looks very similar to another yarn that I have, and I think I'm going to pair those together, sort of blending them. They're very similar colors, and I think I want to make something a little bit bigger with both of those colors. And I'm going to use the shawl pattern from that installment with a different yarn. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with it yet, but I decided not to pair those. But these two, I think they have to go together. I love it. I may change my mind at some point, and that's perfectly fine. But right now, I think I do want to do them together. Very excited. Oh, yay. So another exciting thing that happened, and I was super thrilled, was I was watching Mean Girls Knits, and they announced their winner of the That 70s Tea giveaway. And the way that worked was on their, I don't know if it was their last episode or the one before that, they announced that they were going to be doing that giveaway, and all you needed to do to enter was go onto their Ravelry group and comment strange animal fact. And somewhere in the middle of that same episode, they were talking about babies throwing up and all of this stuff and how gross it was. And it was just super funny because when I found the fact that I did, it just kind of worked out. So the fact that I had found was said squirrels can't burp or vomit. So I commented that in the Mean Girl Knits thread for that 70s Tea giveaway. I said squirrels can't burp or vomit, and then I said unlike gross human babies, because that was basically the topic of the rest of their conversation on that episode. And lo and behold, they drew my name and I won. So I got a copy of That 70s Tea in my library on Ravelry today. And I was super excited. I had to go right away and figure out, what the sizing was and was it going to work for me, what I had. I went through, I've been really diligent about cataloging all my yarn on Ravelry so that I can sit at home and sit at work when nothing's going on. I can stash dive while I'm at work. So I did that, and I found that I've got plenty of yarn. I just don't necessarily have enough of a particular yarn for the main body, but I have plenty. This is what I want to use for the main body, is this really pretty baby pink, and this is again a snug from Pandius Jewels, and this is Tiny Dancer. I wanted to use this for the main body, but I don't have enough, and like I said, I just really went crazy this last couple of weeks and bought a whole bunch of stuff, so I'm not going to order anymore. But I do have a bunch of other yarns in the same pink colorway. This one's a little bit darker. This is the one that I used in the Impressionist shawl just recently. So I can fade, and I'm thinking a light to dark fade on the body of the sweater, and just incorporate some of the other yarns that I already have to make up the body. So it'll be a subtle fade, and then the contrasting color for the sleeves was going to be this. Oh, that's the wrong one. So this is basically going to be the main idea for the shawl. For the sweater. This will be the body. This will be the arms. And this is Stroll Fingering by Knit Picks, and it's their Raven tonal colorway, and it's got blacks and deep purples and slight navy blues, and it's just going to look perfect right there. That's a good representation. So I think it's going to be so fun to make. It's an interesting construction. It looks like a raglan sweater, but the construction is not quite traditional. So I'm very excited to start that, but I probably won't start it right away. Maybe closer towards the end of summer so that I'll have it for autumn. So I was so excited I got that. So thank you, Rebecca and Stephanie from Mean Girls Knits. Thank you for that. I super appreciate it. And thank you to the designer who donated that pattern for the giveaway, and that is Janine McCarty. So thank you, thank you, thank you again. I'm super excited. So that was that. And then I had been telling you guys that I was working on the murder mystery knit along, and I am still working on it. However, I'm just taking my time on it because it's got several columns of what are going to end up being drop stitches, and I'm not a big fan of long columns of drop stitches. So I decided to wait and see what's going to happen with the rest of it and see if there's going to be anything done with those, or if they're just going to kind of just hang there, because I really don't care for it. And I like actually how the pattern, because the way that it sets it up, it makes this real pretty design on its own, and then you drop the stitches and it'll kind of widen that. But I kind of like how it looks closer together. I don't want to say too much without giving a whole lot away on this mystery knit along, but just suffice it to say, don't care for knit along. I'm sorry, for knit alongs. I love knit alongs, but I don't care for drop stitches so much. So I'm going to see if I can get away without doing that and still leaving that little bit of the setup detail, because that is actually kind of pretty. And I'm loving the 4 yarns that I put together. I'm really loving it. So I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to look at a couple of more spoilers as we go along. I'm just going to take my time on it. I am just now getting to the end of clue 1 and about to start clue 2. But that was the Murder Mystery Knit Along. Again, I'm going to have to put up the... I took very bad notes today. I'm going to have to put the name of the designer of that. Oh no, I'm lying. It's Tri-Stitchual. Tri-Stitchual Designs. I got it. Yay, I remembered something. So I'm going to work on that, but slowly. And I'm still kind of in the background also working on my Turbulence shawl by Josh Reich-Sherbinsky. That one's kind of unfortunately taken a little bit of a back seat because I keep getting start-itis. I keep wanting to start everything all the time. It's spring fever. I've got spring fever and everything just wants to jump on my needles and have a party. So the last thing that I want to talk about is something that I really do want to start knitting like right now. I couldn't sleep last night. I had to stay up later than usual because I had to think about these colors and I couldn't stop thinking about this design that I wanted to do. It's not a design for me, it's the color choices for a particular design. It's a shawl called Luthien, and it's by Natalia Moreva. And it's super pretty. It uses a lot of slip stitches for the color work. So I'm thinking of using it, and I'm going to insert some pictures right here for the reason why I want to make this. There is a photo that I found on Twitter by somebody that I follow, and he posted this picture of a real pretty bush with some purple and red flowers all over it, and then it's got the green leaves for the bush, and then it's right up against a real pretty it looks like a rock wall, and it's got different shades of gray and beige, like it's gray rock and really rough rock, and gray for like the thick grouting in between each of the stones. And it's just super pretty, and just the photo itself was lovely, and I kept thinking those colors look amazing together. It's funny when you think about colors and you don't think, I would never put those things together. But then you look at a picture of those same colors somewhere in nature and it's like, oh my God, they so work. And I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I knew that I had to have something that was going to work. The green is supposed to represent the leaves of the bush, but I'm using again just stash. So the photo you notice is the bush is very dark green leaves. I don't have anything quite that dark green, but I think this is going to look nice because it's also got some browns in there that just kind of give it a little bit of fun texture. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. And then I've got some purple and red. And this is actually more of a cherry red. My lighting is kind of making it look like more orangey, but it's very much a cherry red. I'm more on the bluer side. And then I've got some purple. And then I've got these two to represent the rock wall. And I've got more of these. I got one more of each of these. So I have plenty to make this shawl. And I'm super, super, super excited to get it done. Now I just got to see if I've got another size 6 circular needle, because the size 6 that I know that I have, I'm using it for the murder mystery knit along. But I'm pretty sure I have a second one somewhere. So I'm going to look for that so I can get that started tonight. That photo, just for whatever reason, the color spoke to me and I really wanted to flow with this little bit of color inspiration that I had. So I'm super excited to get started on that. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about right now, except for my last little bit of the Pandia's Jewels mermaid colorway that I just used on the toes for my son's sock. I have this little bit left, and I have just enough, I think, to use in my memory blanket. So I thought I'd just show that real quick. And I'm lying, I do have one more thing I want to talk about. It's this beautiful thing back here. But this is my memory blanket. It's still pretty small, but it's getting there. And you'll see these are some of the most recent colors that I used. These 3 here I used in my Crazy Shawl. This was the Baja, the Rio, and the Kate colorways. So I threw those in there. And these were the 2 colors that I used in my Evil Queen socks. This was American Graffiti, and this was Play with Color Day. So those have been added to the memory blanket. And next thing, I'm going to throw in my mermaid color. Oh, I wish Miss Julia still made this color, and I wish she still used this MCN base. I love it so much. But this is gotta be one of my favorite colors that Pandia's Jewels has ever done. There was this one and another one that she did called Tea Earl Grey Hot in honor of Jean-Luc Picard. I adored that color, and I just wish that they were still around because I would totally buy some more. Love it. But it's going to go in my memory blanket forever. Yay. So yeah, the one other thing that I do have to talk about real quick was this back here. This is a shawl that I made, I believe back in 2015. And it's pretty big. This is actually made on a light fingering yarn. The pattern is called Summer 2016 Cal. And this was done by J.L. Fleckenstein. I started this in July of 2016, and I didn't get it done until October 2016. So I did not obviously keep up with this summer cal, but I did finally get it done, and it took me so long because this is a light fingering. I think the pattern called for fingering, but I used a light fingering because that's what I really wanted to use this yarn. And it was done on a US 3 needle, a 3.25 millimeter, so it took me forever. But I love it, and it looks to me like melted popsicles. I know a lot of people don't like pulling, but I love when yarns pull. I just think it's so fun and exciting. And this particular yarn I got off of a shop called Yarntopia Treasures, and they're actually based here in New Mexico out of Edgewood. And this yarn is a bamboo tencel blend, and it's the colorway Berry Rum. I have another colorway in that same yarn, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's real pretty dark blues, purples, and teal. Really, really pretty, but it's bamboo, and it's totally, that's why I chose it for that shawl, because it's super light, and there wasn't any lace in this pattern. It was just strictly stockinette. So, and I actually think the pattern is updated, and they do have, she did add a border, optional border later, and I just didn't do that. But I used this bamboo tencel yarn because it's so light, and you can wear it, you know, in an air-conditioned building and not get too overheated. And it's just so flowy and drapey, and I love it so much. And the colors were just so fun. It's got all of these really pretty, it's got this raspberry and some pretty different teals and greens and this gold. And it's called Berry Rum, and it really does look like something Caribbean. I love it. I love it so much. So now that the weather is getting a little bit warmer, but the AC is going to be jacked up at work, like I've got a nice light shawl for the warmer months. So it's going to be exciting. I got that. So I got a lot of things that I'm going to get done, and some of the things that I am putting off to the side for a little bit. You know, and that's just kind of how I am. I do get the start-itis, and I want to do all of the things right now, and that unfortunately means that some of the other things that I had start-itis about a while back are kind of getting pushed to the side, but that's okay. I'm still knitting. I'm more of just I didn't mean to just kick that just now. Sorry. You know, I just love knitting. I love the process of knitting, and sometimes I get a project done, and sometimes a project will sit and linger for a while, and I'll soon get back to it at some point. But I'm super happy. I don't know how much I'm going to get done within the next couple of weeks, like I said, because I'll be moving at some point. And the whole going through your whole household, packing everything up and trying to figure out what you're going to take, what you don't need anymore, what you've accumulated somehow magically. It's just a process, so it's going to take a while, and I may not get a whole lot of knitting done. But I will keep you updated, and I will hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I hope that your next week is a happy and joyous one, and I will see you all next time. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.